Hello, welcome to the Drexwell Seymour Show. We have another beautiful segment, I believe. I have two persons from the Sports Commission, the director, Mr. Forbes, and the deputy director, Mr. Parker. Today we're going to talk about sports in general. We're going to talk about the benefits of sports. We're going to talk about how the Sports Commission has evolved, the lives they're impacting, and I think it's very critical for us, important for us actually, to have this conversation. I think sports is a critical part of life. A lot of young people are into sports. Sometimes we don't pay attention to it. Sometimes a lot of parents focus on, being a lawyer or being a doctor or whatever. But there are a lot of young people are involved in sports, and they play. It's part of their school curriculum. Some schools, and some people have after activities. And it really it's a great thing to do, and we want to encourage parents, we want to encourage young people to continue to have sports as part of their everyday life. With that said, I want to welcome Mr. Forbes and Mr. Parker, to the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Seymour. Thank you for the invitation.
Right.
Yes.
So tell us a little about Mr. Forbes. I knew he was on my show before in a different capacity.
Yes.
But let the viewers know who you are.
Well, thank you, Mr. Seymour, for having us. It's always a pleasure to be speaking with you about various issues that are important to the country. Of course, we are among the sport leaders in the country, and so sport is a very important sector to us. As far as myself, I'm a native of the Turks and Caicos Islands. Grew up in Grand Turk, then I migrated to the U.S. for quite some time, where I spent a number of years working in the sport industry.
Okay.
Then I returned home, and then eventually I took up the post here at the Sports Commission, and it's been a very exciting ride so far.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mr. Seymour, we're both from the same rock, as they would say. Yeah, the Big South.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get too loud, but
It's okay because we'll go.
yeah. Yes. So I'm Alvin Parker Jr. Similar background to Mr. Forbes. I was involved in sports. Went up to school for sports, and back home. Came back in 2007. Was the director of sports for a period, and we're pretty much now I'm working in a capacity that allows me to continue to give back to the country and to also continue to develop sports within the country.
Okay. All right, so tell us about the Turks and Caicos Islands Sports Commission. Well, what is the role of it? What are their objectives?
The Sports Commission is what it was before, is now what it is now. It has evolved, all right, in the sense of our scope is getting broader, and we're taking on more responsibilities, right? We fully understand the needs of the sports sector. We also understand the strategies and the process that it takes in order to develop a sport ecosystem, right? Now, the Sports Commission originally was essentially a regulatory arm, which our role was to primarily regulate national sport governing bodies to ensure good governance. We then expanded to a lot of facility management, right? And you can see our facilities portfolio is steadily increasing.
Yeah.
And a tremendous amount of investment has gone into that
I saw the
department.
Felix Molly
Yes.
one. I was very impressed with that one.
Yes, and of course, we're opening up the Grand Turk Sports Complex and Shelter this year.
Oh, okay.
So there's a number of expansions and facilities. We have some major plans in the future. I guess we'll talk about it later on, as far as the Aquatic Center and other upgrades to the National Stadium. And then we realized that there was a major gap in activities where we have facilities. We are working with our national federations to ensure good governance, and these national federations are responsible for their particular sport. We provide oversight, and their role is to develop their sport. So they work with their athletes and so on and so forth, and they assemble national teams, and we provide them financial support and governance, right? Now, but we did see a major gap in youth participation. So we established a program department within the Sports Commission to then facilitate programs directly from the Sports Commission.
Okay.
And that department is growing exponentially. and is putting on a slew of activities. So I can imagine the public can see the amount of things happening.
Right.
It is because we have established a programs department, right?
I mean, I know about the basketball.
Yes.
I know you guys established a basketball. What other programs?
So with the programs department,
Uh-huh.
we have inter-school sports,
Oh, okay.
which is a massive program. We have youth leagues, basketball, softball leagues.
Okay.
We have programs at the Felix Morley Community Center, boxing, karate, dance. We also do a number of summer programs as well. So and we do it throughout the islands. So it's a tremendous amount of work that the programs department is undertaking. And of course, we then realized that our athletes needed more.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the programs department has the function of mass participation, which is providing opportunity for many kids to play. Doesn't matter your skill set, doesn't matter your athletic ability or where you start. Come one, come all
That's
approach,
awesome.
right? However, once you start to identify talent, that's a different pathway. And the National Federation is primarily responsible for talent identification and talent development.
Okay.
We provide funding and some advice in that area. We realized that there was a major gap in athlete development. So we then developed our Sports Performance Center, where we now provide strength and conditioning support to all of our national athletes, right? And so you'll see that we have been evolving over time. And of course, we have a strong media presence as well. We have a media department. And we're not only promoting sports our events that the commission has been a part of, we're also promoting events from national federations, just things that are happening in the country as it relates to health and to sport and health and fitness.
All right, that sounds good. I mean, I've seen the improvement.
Right.
I mean, I think it's commendable. Do you have anything to add?
Well, just to add to what Mr. Forbes spoke about, we have grown from where we were, about, say, 5 years ago. The Felix Morley Community Center, that's now a sports facility, it's to promote community engagement. And we refer to it as, again, the Felix Morley Community Center, but that's the next step that we took to get persons from their respective communities to be involved with sports. And that's just one of the arms. It's part of the program department, but the program department is very vast. It's a big engine that we have to drive. The summer programs that comes along with it, where we engage now with various agencies like the police and the Let's Move.
Yes.
These are initiatives, but they're programs that we run, try to get the country at large involved with sports and to show them how they can plug in and contribute to the development of sports.
Share with us some success stories, because I've known individuals who were scouted right here in Turks and Caicos and are now on some sort of scholarship abroad in the United States. To share some success stories the last few years. That's
a serious question, right? About success. And I guess success is what you consider success to be.
Well, that's fair, yeah.
Right? Before I get into the details and start to pinpoint certain key athletes who have done some great things, I want to talk about, from a national perspective, what the public may consider success to be.
Okay,
right?
fine.
So the general public may consider success to be massive stadiums, right? Great facilities, right? Success may be hosting international world-class events. Success definitely are winning medals, right? When you see athletes winning medals,
measured by that,
right? And you see athletes going to college on scholarships and becoming professional athletes, like Billy Forbes, right? We would say those are success stories, right? But from our vantage point, we have to build from a foundational level, and we have to then measure success through benchmarks along the way. And because we fully understand sports, and many persons who work in the sport industry have a great understanding of not just what the goal is, but what it takes to get there, right? How strategic you have to be, how much money it takes, and the time. Because even with money, strategy there's still a time factor.
Yeah.
And there's also certain realities that each country have that determines how difficult it can be, right? And so for us, we have to measure success along the way,
Okay.
right?
All right. That's fine.
Yes, right? And I can tell you that there are those who know what has been happening in sports and many who do not know. And so I'm very glad that you gave us an opportunity to speak with you, to talk about what we consider success to be, right? With a country of 40,000 people, to believe that we can stand up on a world stage with a snap of a finger against Jamaica with 3 million people and go toe to toe, then that is an unreasonable expectation. With us,
I mean, we do a lot of, we like to compare.
we like to compare,
Yes.
right? We compare ourselves with everyone. But the reality is that with Jamaica's population size, with Jamaica's economy, private sector, resources, and the amount of time they have been on this journey, we are doing very well, but we still have a very long way to go. And it's going to take a different strategy because we don't have the same realities that bigger countries have, right? But I can tell you that there has been a significant improvement in how we develop sports. A lot of foundational pillars are being laid. It's almost like a chef who has to prepare a meal. Success for some is having a great plate of food and you're eating the food and it's feeling good. But for us, success is buying the ingredients. Success is buying the equipment to cook the meal. Success is hiring the chef, you know? And you know how when back in the day, when you're coming home from school and you feel the pot cooking when mama's cooking? Yeah, that's success sometimes too, you know? The food is coming soon, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so for us, we believe that we are putting the ingredients, we know the ingredients we have to have. We know we have the menu, we have the recipe. Now we are steadily purchasing all of these ingredients. We are identifying who the chefs are, which are essentially the persons that make sports work in the country, the expert coaches, the expert officials, right? And we believe that we're going to start cooking real soon. Now, we have had some success along the way, some aberrations of athletes who have done some remarkable things, right? But believe me that we believe that in a few years, right, we're going to start to see not just the one-off success stories, we're going to start to see a consistent flow of success stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mr. Forbes, just to add to you and use your analogy of the pot cooking, mama cooking, you know, mom always say, well, nobody eat until daddy eat. So that's a tough decision, you know, for a mother to say your child can't eat until the father eat. So just using that analogy, tough decisions have to be made, you know, and we compare ourselves to Jamaica, Bahamas, other territories. Those countries in their development stage made some real tough decisions to, you know, sacrifice or move forward with one or two sports. And that's what we might be staring down. So if you want to compare and you want those stories, those successes like that, then understand it's going to come at a price.
But then, I mean, even speaking about the other countries though, it seems to me like, well, of course I'm on the outside. I've never lived in Jamaica, I've never lived in the Bahamas. But it seems to me that it's like an everyday part of their life, especially for track and field in Jamaica. In the Bahamas, I see them doing really well in swimming. It seems like there's a lot of focus that is in the schools. That's how it seems to me.
And that's kind of what I'm saying. They focus on, they didn't take everybody. They had focus on one or two sporting disciplines. And when they start to have success in those areas, then they move into another sporting discipline. Here, Forbes knows this, everyone knows this because they say it. But we have to adapt those similar things. And it's going to come at a price, not necessarily financial cost, but tough decisions being made as to which you want that success and you want it in a short period of time. It calls for us making some decisions that's not necessarily wouldn't be popular decisions.
I think what the park is saying is that sometimes you got to take it in chunks, right? You would like to see 10 sports doing well, meaning competing at an international level, but due to resources, not just financial resources, facilities, the quality and availability of coaches, the quality and availability of competition, and all the other support services around that sport, medical service, nutrition, psychological support. So there's so many factors that cost a lot of money and requires a lot of people. To try to spread those resources among 10 sports at the same time is almost impossible. But what he's saying is if you have a plan for the first 3 to 5 years, I'm going to focus on sport A and B. And as that sport is now jump started, then we go focus on C and D. So I think that's what he's saying.
Okay. Are you aware if the schools have sports as part of their curriculum? Because a lot of schools seem to focus so much on the academic side. So I mean, it's the Sports Commission. If not, will the Sports Commission get involved with the Ministry of Education to make sure that it's in there if it's not?
So the way how the schools currently work is they have a PE curriculum, right? And the PE curriculum is a lot more comprehensive at the primary school level. And as they get older, the PE curriculum starts to wane a bit because they start to focus more on the academic stuff, right? The PE curriculum is designed to just do an introductory phase for sports and health. We're actually working currently with the curriculum unit to revise the PE curriculum.
Oh, okay.
So we're very excited about that.
That's good.
We've been talking about that for some time, and the curriculum development unit. We had a meeting a few weeks ago, and we're having our second meeting in the 1st of May, right? To talk about these amendments to the PE curriculum. So we're very happy about that, right? And here's where we're going to really implement a lot more strong foundational principles in how athletes develop, how they move, their balance, their coordination, and really strengthen how PE is taught. So we're very excited about that. That's going to very much help once these kids start to transition into competitive sports. Now, schools also do some extracurricular stuff, such as maybe some sport clubs. They do school sports day, right? And then they would always participate in whatever activities that we host. So the Sports Commission is primarily, with the support of our national federations, we host the inter-school sports competitions.
Okay, yeah, you did mention
right?
that.
And so the schools participate in those competitions. And I can tell you, we have grown exponentially in the amount of competitions over the last 5 years, and in the amount of schools participating, and the amount of children participating. Right? There was a point where school sports were you had inter-high, that was once a year for 3 days. We had basketball champs in December for 3 days. And we would occasionally have softball champs, right? And that was the entire school season. So this entire school season was wrapped up in about 12 days. Okay? Now, school season starts in early October with girls and boys football. That runs all the way through middle of November. Basketball picks up beginning of November, goes all the way through January. Softball picks up end of November, goes to the beginning of February. Track and field picks up in January and goes into March. So
they pretty much
there's a
occupied.
a lot happening, right?
That's good news.
There's a lot happening.
I mean, I'm aware of the basketball because my son
There's
plays
a lot
in the
happening.
basketball league.
And the coaches can tell you there's a lot happening. The officials can tell you, the schools can tell you, the parents can tell you. Those who are currently involved in what's happening can tell you. Now, like you said yourself, your kid played basketball, so you were tuned into basketball. Once basketball was finished, then you probably weren't as tuned in. So there are many folks who believe that once their sport is done, that we're done. But we're not done. And that's just one program, our school sports program. It goes from pretty much the end of September all the way until March.
Okay. So parents out there watching the show and, they see that their son or daughter is very talented and they feel, discouraged and they say, well, I can send my child away to school so they could, get better or improve and they could perhaps become professional. What do you say to that? I mean, can a child do well here in Turks and Caicos? Do they have to go away to become better? Can they do well here as well and end up becoming a professional?
So I'm gonna answer that question first, and then Parker has a personal story, so he's gonna share his side as well, right?
All right.
The sports is not as easy as you think it is, and there are different levels to
It's a lot
this
of
thing,
competition too.
okay? And as a country, with our current resources, our current expertise, our population size, with the amount of competitions that we can provide, given the limited amount of schools, and also the difficulty of competition, right? I mean, you have to move kids throughout the islands, right? It's very difficult to be exposed to the level of competition that you need to be on a collegiate level, or even worse, a professional level in a small island like Turks and Caicos, right? And to put things in perspective, countries such as Nigeria, I mean, countries such as Jamaica, depending on the sport, the Bahamas, with all these different people. I use Nigeria because they have 100 and some million people. That's why I use Nigeria, right? They have to send their elite athletes to America to be exposed to a certain level of competition.
This is high school?
On all levels.
All levels.
All levels, right? A lot of the Jamaican athletes who are now in the professional, in the NBA, they left the Bahamas, not Jamaica, Bahamian athletes. They left early at the high school level because the competition, Bahamas is doing very well now, believe me. But there was a point where the kids had to leave from high school to be exposed to the expert coaches, to be exposed to the level of competition and the level of resources that exist in America, in Canada, in Europe. We are no different. So the truth is that our goal at this commission, and we encourage our national federations to have the same goal, is to create a pathway, which essentially is create a mass participation framework, right? And then as we identify talent, we invest early in the youth level, meaning before they turn 13, right? Because by the time you turn 13, you got to make a decision. Because at this juncture, right, if you stay home, you're now gone through puberty, now growing. The question is, will you meet those gains in a system like Turks where the competition is not as strong, or in a system like America where you have competition that's out of control, right? So parents will make a decision if they can afford to, and also the kid got to be good enough, because moving to America means you're going to play.
And you're not guaranteed.
And I wanted to stop you so bad in the middle to say, you got to be real now.
You got to be good. You got to be good. So that's why we have a strong role to play. Because when we send a kid out of here at 13 years old or 14, they got to come ready. Because they're going into a pool of athletes, and now they're no longer competing against the kids at Clement Howell or the kids at Long Bay. They're competing against over 10,000 high schools in America. Over 100,000 athletes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a different animal now.
Different animal.
So how does one of our kids move to Jamaica? Look at the Walken brothers, for example. A lot of investment was placed in them before they left, you know. The association and all their whole ecosystem that Turks had at the time helped to build them to a point where they could go to Jamaica and compete at champs. You understand? Earn a scholarship. And of course, this last champs, or the last two champs, they have done extremely well, made the country very proud. But they didn't go there as a baby.
Right.
You understand? So that pathway is very common. Delano Williams. How old was Delano when he left to go to Jamaica?
About 13 or so.
About 13. Ifani.
Who's the next one?
Ifani, Atonye.
Oh,
Angelo.
yes.
Many of our athletes, basketball players, Shadonna Clark, Dwayne Simmons. We can call names for a very long time of very successful athletes who got a certain foundation here, and then it was time to move into an environment that would take them to the next level.
I get you.
But the point I'm trying to make is that does not, by no means, say that what we have here is not valuable. It is just, there are certain stages in life that when you get to a certain point, it's time to take the next step.
But what if they finish high school here, and then they could develop themselves, and if they go to college?
So the problem is, We had a girl.
Uh-huh.
2019.
Mm-hmm.
We brought her some college coaches,
Yeah, 2019.
and she got a full Division I scholarship straight out of British Collegiate,
Doing what?
track and field.
Oh, okay.
So we've had those success stories too, but they're very few and far in between, right? It all depends on the level of coaching we have in that particular sport in the country and the level of competition, and also maybe a lot of movement, kids going away a lot to compete. So that's where some cost may come. So if you want to stay home, you can stay home and train. It all depends on our coaching expertise and whether we have the resources to continue to send you away to compete, right? But it is possible, but it's difficult. And I'm going to say one more thing, I'm going to let Parker chime in.
Yeah.
Why it's difficult. Our kids graduate at 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
If you're lucky, 17.
Mm-hmm.
The kids in America graduate at 18 years
18.
old,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes 19.
Mm-hmm.
So when those colleges are recruiting on who is going to make that roster, only 3% of high school athletes in the United States earn a college scholarship. 3%.
Mm-hmm.
So when our Caribbean kids, they're competing with the 3%, the American kids, the Canadian kids, the African kids, the Jamaican kids, all who are coming into America to be a part of that 3%.
Mm-hmm.
And you're coming at 16 years old,
Yeah,
your body haven't even developed yet.
Yeah, I'm mature enough. Uh-huh.
You understand? It hasn't even developed yet, so you're at a disadvantage,
Mm-hmm.
right? Unless you just really have a unique physical ability
Mm-hmm.
to be a 17-year-old kid competing against 18, 19. And when you go to college, you're competing against 23-year-olds. So it's a real situation. And the point about why some parents choose to leave early, because when you matriculate from Turks and Caicos, we go fast academically, right?
Yeah.
So when you matriculate from Turks and Caicos to America too late, they put you in an upper grade.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go in early enough, they'll put you in a lower grade, so you have more time.
Got it.
So that's what's happening. But I want to just share your story.
Yeah, but just to say, I want to go into the whole thing because I was one of those athletes who had to leave as well.
You didn't finish high school here?
I finished high school here. At that time, the rules were different.
Mm.
Now the rules have changed where you can't graduate and go back to school. Back then, you could have graduated school here and then go back to school.
Oh, you mean here?
Right.
Yeah, I did that
So
too.
the rules has changed. But Mr. Forbes, one of the things that you didn't mention is and when you were talking about the package, I would call it, is the academics. The young lady from British Collegiate had the academics. And a lot of times our athletes here have the athletic side and the talent, but the academics, when you're talking about
You need to improve
going the collegiate route, we need to improve on that. And so there's so much factors that comes into play. But what I would say, to parents, if you identify or if your child is identified as a high performing or high potential athlete, these are the things that you need to now, pay attention to. Academics, training sessions, and ensure that they're part of a club and they're taking advantage of the facilities and resources that we have here. You cannot get to that level if you're not maximizing what you have here. Don't believe that, you're going to go to America and just blossom.
Yeah.
It's like, I have this thing I say to some athletes: stay on the porch, because if you're a dog, you go to America, that's dogs, that's some big dogs. And you might be the big dog here as far as your talent is on a different level than what you compete with here. And again, numbers play a role in that and the frequency of competitions. So you might be a big dog here and the buzz around town of how good you are athletically. Don't let that fool you, because jumping right into America, you're going up against lions, wolves, and everything else. So
Couple dragons.
So you need to make sure you have the package, and along with the athletic abilities and the academics, you have to be mentally ready for it.
Yeah.
And so parents just have to think about all these things and have some discussions with us before you make that next step.
Well, how do they decide what school to send their kids to if they go to America? There are so many schools, and what are some of the things they should look into?
So one, the various federations have partners around the world. So they should consult with them first. If it's a basketball kid, talk to the basketball federation. hey, do you guys know of any schools that my kid can go to?
Okay.
If it's a track, you talk to the track federation, and we may have also some schools that we have worked with in the past. Now, all is not lost if the kid doesn't leave, by the way,
Right.
because the kid can stay and still be successful.
Yeah.
Right? But it's just going to take a lot of work. You understand? And some kids are just late bloomers. You may have a kid who at 14 years old, there was 5'9". And by the time they turn 17, they're now 6'6", right?
Yep.
So at 6'6", all of a sudden you got a shot.
Yeah.
At 5'9",
Yeah.
you was not a contender, but now you're 6'6". So it's up to us and the National Federation to keep a youth program going very strong, so kids can continue to grow and develop. Where at some point they don't have to leave so early.
Yeah.
So that's our goal. Our goal is to grow the system, develop more expert coaches, increase our competition program so that they don't have to leave so early, but they can start leaving a little bit later.
Yeah, because parents need to still spend more time with their children.
Definitely, definitely.
But there was I think about 2 or 3 years ago, it was an O'Neill. The last name is O'Neill. I think
Coach O'Neill.
Coach O'Neill. I think he was successful in getting about 3 or 4 students to. I think they completed high school.
Okay.
In America, and then some of them end up getting.
To tell you the truth, we have a lot of talent here.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, that athlete has to have the package. You know, they have to have again
the academics as well.
And again, you know, taking advantage of summer programs. And that's what O'Neill and most of our coaches do this. In the summer, they would host tournaments, or they take a group of our kids away to be seen. That's how we call it, to be seen by U.S. colleges and high school coaches.
Right.
And through that, a lot of our young men, especially for basketball, has been given an opportunity to go to school in America and advance and realize their dreams as becoming a basketball player. But again, that's through the development programs that we have here. You know, that even those coaches identify the talent. You know, and they select their teams and individuals to travel with them.
Okay.
But so you asked a question earlier about success, and then whether or not you should take your athlete or your child away. You have to make sure you maximize the systems and the resources that we have here. It also helps with early detection. Like, hey, this guy, he really got something.
Yeah.
And through conversations with us and some of the coaches of federations, you find out there's a summer program. I have some contacts over here. I'll call my buddy up or call a friend up. Probably can go stay with them for a week, or have them to just run a little scrimmage where he's in front of a few coaches and see, what the potential is.
Yep.
And then you go from there. But just taking them out of the system and putting them in a system that is like America, where athletes are being scouted now from primary school.
It's a long shot.
Yeah, it's a long shot.
In some cases, it's actually better to stay home. Because when we bring in coaches, they only see our kids, as opposed to when you go to a exposure camp in America, there's 1,000 kids running around the basketball court.
Exactly.
So that girl, the young lady who got a scholarship, and this year we brought in coaches again, and they're looking at 4 of our kids. The question is, how would those 4 kids shine if they were awake?
Yeah.
Right. We have a grant program, the ADF fund, that is the fund is generated through private sector donorship, and then we manage the fund. And the fund recently sponsored a college ID camp for football, where they brought in college coaches, and we had a number of football kids who did a showcase right here at home. And I believe 8 kids were offered scholarships.
Wow, that's
so
awesome.
A lot of good things that happen.
A
lot of good things that happen.
Yeah, it pays sometimes.
And it's one of the other benefits of staying home. You get to be more attention is focused on our kids.
Yeah.
Because when you go there, let's say something like Carifta, and you got scouts there, they're looking at the top finishers.
Yeah.
And in that bunch, although you didn't finish in the top 3 or even in the top 8, there are late bloomers.
Yeah.
But you won't get to see them because at that meet, they look at la creme de la crop. And there are thousands of colleges. you know,
the stakes are higher.
do you have Division I coaches at those kinds of events? But there are other colleges that you can go to and still get an education and still be successful.
Yeah.
So
what do you say to parents though who is really don't see the need for sports? They don't see they want to make sure their kid. I know you say they have to be a balance academically as well as from the athletic part too. But there are some parents who don't see the need to have their children participating in sports. They just want their children to study hard and get their A's or B's, whatever. What do you say to those parents? How do you encourage them that they must have a balance? They should have a balance.
I mean, I think sports is such an amazing tool for personal development, right? And some kids really need sports. And so some kids, based on their financial situation, their home situation, sports is literally a way out, right? You go to other countries like Jamaica, they ain't playing sports because it's fun. That's business. That is a legitimate ticket. You understand? A way out or way up. In Turks, we have the same situation in a cross section of our population where they really look at sports as a way up or way out, an opportunity. For us, that's what we try to make sure there are scholarship opportunities, right? So we have a scholarship policy for sports, and we also provide grants to athletes once you get to a certain level, right? And so those kids really see an opportunity. Now, you may have parents who have resources, right? And they may not believe that sport can help their kid. For those parents, we would say sports is more than just having fun. It's about so many other opportunities to build your child. Resilience. I mean, identity. Some of the kids don't even have an identity until they start playing sports.
Outside of sports.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, just learning how to manage conflict. Learning how to sacrifice, how to commit. You have
working
kids
with
today
others,
who cannot even take instructions. Like there are kids among us in Turks and Caicos who have a hard time taking instructions. But you would never find that from an athlete because they take a whole lot of instructions. You understand? They're always being told what to do, how to do it, and being held accountable for not doing it the way you asked me to do it. And then when there is success, you celebrate the success with them. And when there's failure, you help them get up from the failure. Just imagine that cycle in life.
And to add to that, you said about taking academics so serious. The government gives so many scholarships every year. And it goes to pretty much those at the top, but as far as CXC passes. Okay. Your son or daughter, your athlete, might fall short of the required amount of CXC passes. But because there was an athlete, that opportunity is there for them for a 50-50 scholarship. You get a college offer you a half scholarship, and then the other half, you have something to take to the scholarship board to, for lack of a better word, put you on some level playing field or make you eligible for a scholarship, although you don't have 10, 12 CXC passes. So why get involved with sports? It provides the same opportunities as staying in your book all day. You know, and if you fall short in your books, you have options. You have, that you can leverage sports to get you that scholarship.
And I can say, and I can add to that, especially on the global scale. And I know we in the Turks and Caicos Islands, we have our economy is diverse, local business, government, and private business. So we have a lot of different persons at the helm making decisions, right? When you see a resume come before you, you got distinctions, and a lot of people come first. It's great, you come first. A 3.0 is a slice of cake these days, right? But then you got a kid who got the same 3.0
and athlete,
but played for the country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Played Division I basketball.
You look at that differently.
Ran track, swam on a high level. Come on, man. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
True.
It gives you the edge.
True. Okay, before we wrap up, let's talk about Carifta. I know we recently came back from Carifta. A lot of people have, I know there's a different had sports that deal with that, I believe. But there's been a lot of criticism that we wait until like a month or so before to train our athletes to go to CRIFTA. How can the Sports Commission play a role in making sure that our athletes are better prepared for CRIFTA?
Thanks for that question.
Mhm.
I figured you were going to ask that question. And I had to decide how honest I was going to get.
Be honest.
But the truth is that we already provide a lot of support, right, to the National Federation to help to encourage athlete development early, right? The Sports Performance Center that we have 3 highly qualified coaches, strength and conditioning coaches.
Are they paid?
Yes, full-time job.
Okay.
Their full-time job is
That's
to
good.
develop programs, to train athletes, to develop sports-specific strength programs. So these guys aren't just saying, come in the gym and get strong and have a six-pack. They're not developing beach bodies, all right? They're developing weapons of war, okay? So these guys are looking at your sport, looking at the events you run, whether it's a distance runner or a jumper or a sprinter, and they're designing specific programs for you, right? We have guys in our center who are our former track athletes. We have Delano Williams, we have Angelo Garland, and then we have Tyler who brought in some additional support from the UK. So these are resources that the Federation have at their disposal. Now, we are seeing some uptick, right? We had some issues in the beginning where they were reluctant to take the leap of faith, but now we realize that, okay, they're realizing, okay, let's start to get these athletes more involved in this program. Now, one area that we're gonna do, we're gonna be meeting with the federations in the coming weeks to discuss a national training program. We've been talking about this for some time,
Okay.
but it hasn't come off the ground. The way how things work in Turks right now is each kid trains with their individual coach, right? They join track clubs and the coach would train the kid. And so there is no national training program that is mandated by the National Federation. The kid is pretty much on their own with their coach, with pretty much limited resources, right? Now, in a national program, here's where you actually identify your top coaches in the country based on where their skill. I'm talking about tracking specifically.
Yeah.
Where let's say our best jumps coach, our best throws coach, our best middle distance coach, and we put a team together, and then we identify all the top kids who are turning 12, the kids who are turning 15, and you pair them. You develop a training program and a training schedule from, let's say, starting in August, and you match them with those coaches who are skilled in those areas. That takes a lot of buy-in. You know why? Because let's say we got a guy like Donovan Garvey, right? He don't mind me calling his name, right? He has an expertise in jumps. Now, we asked Donovan Garvey to train all the jumpers and the top 5 jumpers in the country, male and female, for a period of 6 months. You know he's gonna have an inter high, right? He may lose at a margin basis in the jumps, right? Randy Ford is a great middle distance coach. If we ask him to train all the middle distance runners in the country, the top ones, what's gonna have an inter high? He might lose at Clement Howell. So it's gonna take some serious buy-in from all parties involved to understand the big picture. We wanna develop athletes, we wanna put them in the best position to be successful, and we wanna help them represent the country well. This will also take some expert support, meaning bringing persons in on periodic basis who can then provide support in jumps, support in throws, support in sprints, support in middle distance. So that's kind of what the direction that we're going.
Okay.
And it goes back to what I said, Mr. Seymour. We have to make those decisions.
Yeah.
It's not going to be popular.
Yeah.
But for us to get the results that our country keeps asking for at CRIFTA and other events, we have to make those decisions.
Okay. Well, I think this is the last question I want to ask. You have this stadium, the Gustavus Leibniz Stadium, right? That's what it's called?
Gymnasium.
Is it open to the public? And is it open to the public? And when can people come here? And can anyone come in and play, or is it certain hours?
All right, let me put it like this. We have open hours that we call free play.
Free play.
Okay.
That means anyone can come in during that time.
Come in.
And what are those hours?
It depends on the day.
The
Some
days.
there's a morning open session and there's an afternoon open
But you
session.
just can't show up. You have to.
But we have a schedule. We have a schedule
yes.
that's posted on our
Okay.
social media pages. It's posted on our website, and it's posted outside the building.
Okay.
So once you come in, you know exactly when,
Got it.
if there's a private session, is there free play?
Right.
Now keep in mind about free play, right? Free play is just anybody come in and play.
Mm-hmm.
But some of our bookings are school teams.
Mm-hmm.
There's no gym here. This is the only public indoor space
Yeah.
this size in the country.
Right. That's true.
The building one in Grand Trunk is almost done.
Mm-hmm.
But in Providence, Seattle, there's probably over 30,000 people. This is the only public space,
Mm-hmm.
right? At this size. Just think about the amount of requests we get. We have firefighters, we have regimen, we have police playing in the day.
Mm-hmm.
We have all the high schools trying to book even if a half a court for practice.
Mhm.
We have netball, we have volleyball, we
course.
have the adult league
Mm.
that wants to play. And then the adult league wants to practice. And then you still got to find time for guys who just want to walk in off the street and play some games.
Mhm.
Then you have kids who are 8 years old who wants to play.
Mm-hmm.
And you got kids who are guys who are 48 who wants to play.
Looks like we need another facility for Provo.
Right?
He got,
So we have to now, how do we keep this facility at a certain quality with the amount of traction? And then you have town hall meetings, you have conferences,
Yeah.
you have government initiatives, you have private sector events that requires this space. So we have to have rules.
Oh, you have to have rules. Absolutely.
We have to have rules. We have to have structure.
Yeah.
You see the condition of the place, it's in good condition.
Yeah, you have to maintain. It has to be maintained
Right?
properly.
You have to have rules.
Yeah.
And we try to be transparent by listing our schedule. So you're not caught off guard.
Yeah.
But once those rules come into play, then we have to eventually do it.
Right.
We're not doing
No, I just want to double back. You asked what the place is called. This is the Gustavus Library Auditorium.
Auditorium. Okay.
Okay, so I hope by clearing that up, it kind of helps some people.
Can be used for anything.
Yeah, thank
All
you. Yes.
Do you have any closing remarks or anything you want to say that perhaps we didn't cover during this conversation?
Let you go first.
Yes. Well, Mr. Seymour, we answered. We did have some back and forth, but thank you for the opportunity again to answer those questions and hopefully clear up one or two things with the public. And hope you'll have us back again
Of course.
to talk in depth
Mhm.
about the Sports Commission and more of the things that we do and how the public, private, how those sectors can be of assistance to us. Parents, if you have a child that participates in sports, I would encourage you to really get involved in that young athlete's life, from the academics to the sport that they play, knowing the federation, understanding how it works and who heads the federation that your child may be a fan of. Know how the Sports Commission works. Our doors are open. We're here from 9, sometimes 10 hours a day, but we're here from 9 o'clock. You can come in and speak with myself, Mr. Forbes, or we have someone in front to direct you if you need to speak with the programs. Enlist your child into one of the programs that we have, the facilities that we have around the islands. But just get involved so that when you speak or when someone comes to you and talk to you about your child possibly taking part in a program, traveling with them, studying with them, you understand, what is happening. You're more in the know, so you can make better yet, you can make more informed decisions. So I would like to say that to parents and to the general public. Our doors are open. Come out, stop by, get a better understanding of the Sports Commission and our responsibilities and the facilities that we have available for you or your child that may be interested in sports. So that's it. Thank you much, sir.
Thank you, Parker. That was a great summary. For me, I would like to speak more about my final remarks. I'm also about we don't want kids to lose hope, right? And But negativity, negativity travels around the world
Mm.
about 10 or so times before some positive reaches, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing when it comes to lies versus truth, right?
Yeah.
But we don't want people to lose hope and we're not just talking about kids, we're talking about parents, because there's so many factors involved in growing sport in the country. Coaches, we don't want coaches to lose hope. We don't want our sport administrators to lose hope. We don't want the government to lose hope, right? We don't want the private sector to lose hope because a lot is happening right now and there has been significant growth, but everyone has their own unique experiences, and oftentimes folks who have the positive experiences really don't say much, but the few who have a negative experience tend to be the loudest.
Mhm.
And it is common everywhere we go in the world, right? But I want persons to understand that a lot has gotten better. From where we sit, we see
Mhm.
where we were,
Mhm.
and we see
Where you are now.
where we are now,
Mhm.
and we also have the insights on where we're going. And we want the public to not lose hope.
Yeah.
All right. And just to give a small statistic, and folks like money in Turks, so they will understand. If I talk about sport data and performance, they won't get that. But to get you to understand that things are getting better.
Yeah.
5 years ago, the sports budget for the entire country,
Mhm.
everything included,
Mhm.
facilities, grants,
Mhm.
all sports, programs, everything, was $980,000.
Okay, not even $1 million. Okay.
That's 5 years ago.
Mhm.
This current budget that's being passed next week, hopefully,
Mhm.
$5.2 million.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
We understand numbers.
Mm.
Things are happening.
It's almost 5 times. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good note to end on. Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Forbes and Mr. Parker, for being on the show, a very informative show.
Mhm.
And I want to, thank the Sports Commission for the work that you've done in transforming sports in the country. I know a lot of times we criticize you because we don't see all the work that gets involved, and we perhaps don't see the movement that takes place. But there are a lot of things behind the scenes that people do not know what's happening.
Mhm.
And I want to thank you for what you're doing, and I want to encourage you. I know there's a lot of negativity of this sometimes, but stay focused and continue to do, making the Turks and Caicos the next couple of years a household name when it comes to sports. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you, parents out there. I encourage you to continue to encourage your kids as well.